Welcome to our Spain, Poco a Poco. Hi, Gaetano. How's it going?
It's going bueno, Tanya. How's it going with you?
This is my favorite time of year. I just want to say, if it's not raining and it's not too windy, end of March, beginning of April, we are having perfect weather right now.
Well, it is a very sunny, low
Mm-hmm.
humidity day,
Yep.
and Fias is over,
Well,
and now
there's
it's
that.
quiet. I mean, we've said it before. I'll say it a million times. The city's a different place the day after. It's all a dream.
It's
But
shocking.
but I will say we ended our Fias with some churros.
And that might have been a mistake.
It might have been a mistake, which we'll get into in today's episode about da 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 churros.
Churros. One of the favorite Spanish merienda snack foods. You will find them. We find them at our farmers market every Thursday. There's a truck. I mean, they come out at every festival. They are, of course, blanketing the streets during Fallas in the city, right?
And then throughout the year, there's churrerias that sell them. There are actual churro restaurants
Yes,
that
that is
sell them
true. I
year round.
forgot about
Do you
this.
have one in your new town, by the way? Do
I
you have
don't think we have a place to. You know what? Somebody must be doing it. I
I'm sure someone
It's not
is.
something
Yeah.
I usually get in a restaurant. I have to be honest. It is usually something that I get forced into buying by a certain
Mhm.
child, like as we're walking through some sort of festival. So
Right.
this is kind of where they are very popular. And since we will get into what they are, I mean, they have them in the States, they have them in other countries, and usually as part of a Spanish culture thing, but you probably know what
Right.
they are, right?
Right.
Everybody, they're fried
But
dough. So delicious.
exactly. But like if you're from America, the churros that you find in America are the really hard, rigid Mexican ones covered in a huge amount of cinnamon sugar coating.
Hmm.
Not at all not delicious, I'm not saying, but completely different. Like it's a harder
Very different.
consistency.
And
Yeah.
they don't put the cinnamon on them here that I've found. I'm sure you
No.
might go to a restaurant maybe and someone's doing something special with them to try and change it up, but that is not something. It comes out of the big frying vat, and it's either do you want sugar or not on it. I'm assuming there's people that don't.
Right.
I don't know who they
Well,
are.
I mean, that's the thing too, is they're not coated in sugar. It's sugar sprinkled into the bag. So like you're kind of like dipping in the sugar. It's not like coming out like
Well, it does
like
kind
a
of
sugar
stick.
donut.
It kind of sticks on it because it's right out of the fryer. But yeah, there might be
But
a
not
lot at
like
the
a
bottom.
Mexican churro where that is,
No,
I mean, the
no,
sugar
no,
is
no, no.
on it, right? It's
Yeah.
attached. This is like you're dipping it. That's the thing that fun about the churros here is you dip it into the big sugar amount, the
Yes.
massive sugar at the
At the
bottom. With
bottom.
every wet bite you take, you just get more sugar. And
So
no
you
one
guys
shares
must
a
be
bag.
super fancy because you're each getting your own bag. We get one bag and then everyone gets them handed out. So no one's
Well,
dipping them in.
No, because you have to double dip, and you can't share a double dip bag of sugar.
No one's
gross.
dipping in our family. You just eat the churro. That's it.
No, you're wasting so much delicious azúcar.
Well, I will say we did have a truck that came to one of our festivals in town, and they did like dipping churros that I've never seen before, where you could get and it would be like a cone. So they would make the churros in the regular way, which we'll get into, and then they came in a cone, which they either do a bag or something, and then
Like a paper cone,
like a
you
paper
get like
cone,
French
but like
fries
a
in.
bigger
Yeah.
one, yeah, like for French fries, whatever. And then you could pick a dip, and one of them was like a Nutella, or it could be something. They had a whole bunch of dips, but I've never seen a churro stand quite that fancy.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really good because then we did each have to have our own, and we were dipping sort of into this sort of Nutella and all these different sauces that they offered. But we talked a little bit about. You were talking a little bit of sorry. You were talking a little bit about how much they're kind of harder in the States, often these ones in the
Mhm.
restaurants, and I think we can possibly a little bit explain why that is, because if you don't get churros straight out of the fryer, you get them later, or you take them home and you try to eat them later, they get hard and
Yeah, but it's
inedible.
like the Mexican ones are made to be hard. They're a hard, rigid
Oh, really?
thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. They're fried more, whatever. They are hard and rigid, and the cinnamon sugar is like a coating,
Yeah.
right? They're not dipped in it.
But the churros here will get not nasty. You don't want them
Well,
later.
they get chewy
Yeah.
and like gummy and
Mhm.
like it's gross. Like it's old. It doesn't stay crispy. It gets Ugh,
Yeah.
I think that's the scientific word
Yeah,
for
I think
it.
that is. And you need them straight out of the fryer, which maybe we've discussed a little bit in other episodes about chocolate covered churros, right? So we've had like you got to dip them in chocolate, which is
Right.
fine.
The
You get
hot
the hot
chocolate, the
chocolate,
thick
you
hot
dip them in.
chocolate. Yep.
You got to get the thick hot chocolate. But they also
Yes.
come covered in chocolate. And this is a problem.
Because they look delicious,
They
and then
do.
you get one, and you're like, it's a chew toy for my
Oh, it's
dog
so
because
gross.
you can't get through them. And they have the things here that look amazing, and the kids want them. And whenever we get them, which is about once a year, I let them have them. Then they regret getting them, which are the churros rellenos, which are the stuffed churros, and you'll see those lined up in the carts with the the Nutella
They
stuffing.
look amazing.
The pistachio stuffing. But those have been sitting out since last Tuesday, and
Even if it's an hour, it's still already wrong.
It's already wrong, because they're soaking up all the humidity and the air too. So you get this cold, chewy thing, and then
it's a whole different
the girls
thing.
got one the other day, and there was a fight in the house because they were picking who was going to get which one, and then one of them got one, which was the scam one. That one was filled completely with pistachio cream all the way down, and the other one just had a little plug of pistachio cream, and it was filled with air.
Oh no. So they just they had an apprentice do that one. They didn't quite know what they were doing.
Right. And what I will say, I have never seen those at Churreria at all. I've only seen those at the street fair food trucky thing.
Those are the food truckies. I think sometimes they're making, so I saw one where they had they were covered in white chocolate and dark chocolate and pink chocolate with marshmallows on top, and they looked so amazing. And I'm just going to say this for the record. Go ahead, anyone, and try them. I almost guarantee you nothing will compare to a fresh churro that comes straight out of the fryer.
Exactly.
And to what happened to you? Because you were eating them at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, it was so that was our bad. We should have known better, but it was the last breath of Fias, and we were walking home. The kids said, "Can we get some?" And they tasted like French fries. That oil had been old and reused, and the churros needed ketchup and not sugar. It's basically what they tasted.
So that's just like the truck had been making churros all day in the same oil. Day. So you can actually see the oil. You can kind of poke your head in and take a look and see if it looks fresh-ish,
So pro tip, if you are forced to get your churros from a stand, you get them at least several hours before the fair ends, not several minutes before it ends.
And not at the very, very end of a 2-week festival at 2:00 in the morning. Well, good to know. So, Gaetano, what is a churro? What is it made of?
So a churro is made from, it's a very easy recipe. It's like a cup. Anyway, it's a cup of boiling water, a cup of flour, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and a pinch of salt, and you make that into a batter. And here they have, anywhere they make churros, they have these machines, like a donut machine where they got the batters in it, and they press a lever and it pours out.
It's so fun to watch.
It's so fun to watch, and they're star shaped when they come out, right? So the length of it is a star shape if you cut a.
Yeah, they're long. They're long. They're long and
cross section.
Yeah, the cross section. There you go.
So, but you'll see them do it. Now, I'm picky because in some areas of Spain, this is more common, but I see them do it here where they'll pump it out in one long stream and make it into a spiral into the oil.
Okay.
And then there's the ones that when they're piping it out, someone's got a long knife and counts 1 Mississippi and cuts every 1 Mississippi. So they're more equal length. I prefer that because I'm a little picky, because what they do with the spiral ones is they slam it on the place where they're going to sprinkle stuff on it, the drying rack, and it just breaks up in varying size pieces. And if I'm paying for 6, I want them to be equal sized.
So they're not giving you the whole spiral chopped up. Is that not what you should be doing? Is just buying the whole spiral and it's just chopped up?
I've never seen them selling the whole spiral. That's just how they're breaking it up. Okay. So
there is one other way that they do it. I don't know if you've seen this, where it comes out of the hole, right? So it's coming out as a long stick, and then they take the bottom and then they attach it back to the top, and you get a teardrop shape and pinch it.
Oh, I've seen that
and they
too.
Pinch it off. Those are the ones that I usually get. I love those because they're kind of already in this teardrop shape, and then it comes out and they bring the bottom around, squeeze it, and it pops out and it pops into the oil. I love those ones. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're all good.
They are.
Now, I've never really, so since I'm a stickler about the spiral, I haven't heard it, but from what I understand, from what people have told me, is some people prefer the center of the spiral because that stays more soft
Right.
and not as crispy as the outer end of the spiral. I don't know. I haven't done that yet.
Right.
But
and they have skinny ones and thicker ones as well. Like there's varying kind of degrees, and and I think the ones that I'm talking about are the thinner ones, which I prefer because they don't have as much gooey dough inside, so they're really like more crispy, these little teardrop ones, because they come out of like thinner, and that's my favorite. And you can have, maybe the spiral is a thicker one, it has a bit more dough in the middle, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
yeah. And I don't even think they're thicker. It's just because because it's in the center of the spiral, there's less area for the oil to get to it, to fry it. Do you know what I mean? But you did some research, and do you want to tell us why when you get that cross section, it's a star shape?
I do, because I thought this was really cute. I never thought about it, but this is a machine that produces this, but the star shape obviously creates more surface area, more crispy. And we love a good crispy churro. So that, rather than it just being, well, you have other things that can get deep fried that we'll get into later that are more kind of circular, but you get a really good crispy. And then if you get the skinny churros that are in the star shape, now you're in business. You just got like a good old crunchy.
And like we said, you want that fresh out of the oil. So when they do sprinkle the sugar on it, it does stick. It has something to stick to. It needs the grease to stick to it. It does.
By the way, this is a very healthy episode.
It's so healthy. Well, I mean, it brings a smile to your face, and that's healthy.
Exactly. And your children.
And I know you and I are on the same page that it has to be dipped in the thick hot chocolate. We had friends visiting us, and they said they prefer the thinner chocolate, and obviously they were tourists.
Okay,
so I mean, I'm not going to judge them. Don't listen to this episode. I'm totally not judging you. Everyone is to each their own.
Well, because we have a video of us online. I think I'll try and find that and repost it, because we went looking for the proper hot chocolate, and of course the restaurant that we ended up at, it was the thin hot chocolate. So I don't know. There might be Spanish people that prefer the thin hot chocolate, because I was very surprised.
I mean, they're selling it. Yeah. Obviously, there are someone who does, but I prefer the thick pudding consistency.
Oh, I want it to dip, and I want the chocolate to stick to the churro. That's to me how it should be. And I'm wondering if possibly in a restaurant you can ask for it extra thick or thin, and maybe because we were speaking English, they were like, oh, they're going to take the thin one, right? That's what they're going to want. So,
well, I know one of the places here only serves it thin. That's the one place. I know one place only serves it thin, and that's our regular churrería that's open year round.
Right. Right. And then, so a few little kind of fun facts. Different areas of Spain, slightly different designs.
Like in Madrid, like how you were saying, they pinch you like them pinch the end of the teardrop shape. They'll kind of make it look like a knot when it comes out. Like do a little swirly thing where it looks knotted.
Like a pretzel kind of?
Like a pretzel-y kind of thing,
nice.
yeah.
Okay, I'll go with that. Yeah.
And in Andalusia is where the spiral is more popular than here, even though I've seen it done here.
It's not so popular. Yeah, it's ours are pretty straight.
Yeah, it's pretty straight. I mean, to be honest, I've only seen the spirals with the food trucks. I've never seen them at one of the churrerías doing it.
Me either. That's not very common. The only way to get you're either getting it in the spiral or the teardrop, but you're not getting like a full-on spiral like that. So the word churro, debatable where it comes from. We're going to give one option. There may be many.
Okay.
This
is where the name comes from, not the recipe.
Yes, not the recipe.
Okay.
We'll get into the origins of it. But the name, theoretically, there is a breed of sheep here in the north of Spain called a Churra. And the male sheep of this breed have the horns that look like these curly churros that we were just talking about, the fact that we don't really have that style here, but maybe in Andalusia or other areas, they have it more like that. So that's where they think that's where there is a theory that the name churros comes from that name of the sheep. We can't prove it.
Right. And the horns do look like it. They
totally
have that kind of rigid shape to it and stuff. I mean, and the churros here, no matter how you make them, they're not straight like the Mexican ones.
No.
Because even when they're cooking, they fall into the oil and they just get cooked with a kind of a curled shape to them. They're not
right.
Yeah, they're not.
But maybe the churro came first and then they named the sheep after that. I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
Because
it's a chicken or egg situation.
Because do you want to get into the shepherds since we're talking about sheep?
All right, so I think when we were researching this, audience members, we also almost had a throwdown about the origins. So there are two theories, both hugely doubted
Right.
about where they came from. Which is one is the Spanish shepherds would make them because it has simple ingredients, like we said, the flour, water, oil, and salt,
Right.
and that they could fry them easy over an open flame.
Mm-hmm.
Now the criticism to that theory, which I'm going with, which is that they would have to be carrying excessive amounts of oil with them as they're shepherding around in the mountainside, so might not be the best shepherd food to have.
This is true. My point, which I don't think maybe stands any water, is that maybe they weren't actually frying it, they were just cooking it in some way, and then the deep frying came later. And I mean, maybe these were the shepherds that had the Churro sheep, and they're like, kind of looks
maybe. I mean, like I don't know.
Who knows?
Now, the second one takes the pride away from Spain, but it seems more logical.
Yeah.
Which is they came from China.
Came from China. And I will say, I mean, in this era of history, I mean, having flour, water, and salt, I mean, this would have been theoretically a cheap food of some sort for probably a lot of different
the whole world,
right?
The whole world was
because when we on our episode about cocoa, right, the little the bread pastry things, I mean, we found that look, almost every culture had something like this because it was just made out of the basic things that people had without adding expensive ingredients like meat. So the fact that they found it in China and they were like, well, this is great. And then the Portuguese sailors brought it over and back into Europe, and everyone was like, "Yum!"
Yum. And then the Spaniards just added. So in China, they were a savory treat, from what we had read, which was they were eaten with soy sauce, and we added the sugar, which I think is the rightful.
I think that's the right
path.
thing to do. Yes, but the sugar might have come later because the sugar maybe would have had. Well, depending on the theory, that they were making them without the sugar initially, and then once sugar became available here, just
now
added
we
to
have
everything.
Cross references past episodes of like chocolate in Spain and the dates, and I don't have the energy to go back through all our episodes, so
go listen to the one about chocolate, and that will tell you about the history of sugar.
when that came here, and there's a lot of colonization involved.
Yeah, but now you've got hot chocolate with sugar and churros with sugar, and now you're in business.
Now you're in business, and I'm a happy camper.
And it hasn't changed much since then, I don't think.
No. And we've talked about the Mexican ones, which but also in Argentina, they are more of the relleno type, where they're the ones stuffed with like pastry cream or a caramel cream, like dulce de leche,
like filled all the way through. You think?
Filled all the way through, yeah. That's more common than rellenos. Rellenos means like stuffed, right? Like chili relleno. So think of it that way.
Yeah, but that sounds really good as well. So I mean, they definitely have these around and about. It's not
around and about. And supposedly, I haven't been. So supposedly in Portugal, they flavor the dough with like lemon zest or cinnamon. Now that I
think that sounds good, and I haven't seen a variation of that here. And I think if there was a restaurant that was giving that a little twist, a little lemon twist, excuse the pun, I think that would be really, really good. I would be all over that.
I mean, I'm all for it.
But definitely a celebratory activity. I think it's if there's a festival going on, there's a churro truck going on as well.
It's easy walking food, right? I mean, if you're walking around a festival, you can have your bag of sugar and churros and be.
That's true. And then most of these trucks, just in the same sort of vein of what we're talking about, they have something called porras, and that is like a churro but thicker and thicker than the thickest churros, and they're not put out through a star-shaped thing, so they're just kind of
they're more smoother, and they're also made with a leavening agent, so they're more fluffier, so it's more of a bready consistency versus just like a fried dough.
Right. Yeah, they're definitely fluffier, and those also they'll either be straight or in a spiral, and you can buy the whole spiral of that.
Oh, you can.
And they don't chop it up.
And they're more common like up in Madrid, not so much common here in
I've seen them
as like a state.
Yeah, I've seen them in all the churro trucks usually offer them out in our area. So it might be because we're out of the city that we're getting a bit more of a variety. I don't know.
Or also those food trucks probably go to the festivals
They
all over
do.
Spain. And
They
it's like,
might.
this is our recipe. Because I haven't seen them in the churrerias here, but in Madrid, it's common to buy them both on a plate. They come.
They come sort of together.
Yeah, it's like a combo platter.
Yeah, I was at one of the churro trucks not the one that we have in town, but in a different town. I was getting something, and the guy was like, "Well, have you tried the porras?" And I was like, "No." And he was just started stuffing everything into a bag, and I came home with like the straight churros and the curly churros and the curly porras and the straight ones, and I'm just like, I don't remember what all these things are called, but here's the variety. Right. So when you kind of get up onto these trucks, you can see they have pictures of everything, and you can just point and go, I want this one, and then you can get your hot chocolate as well.
Not only pictures, they've got them in a glass case just staring at you.
Those ones you don't want.
Those ones you don't want. The ones that are already in the glass case sitting there.
Well, and this is why sometimes if they're freshly making them, that they will just give you extra because nobody wants the leftovers, so unless they have a really long line, if you're like the last in line, you might get the extra couple that are laying on the rack. Right. Because no one's going to come up and want that. So get to be last in line. It's a good place to be.
So anyway, I think that's enough for us to talk about because I need to go. Since Fias is over, we never saw the lady with the flowers. So
you have a couple of days to... Is it not done?
No, she's done, but they don't burn her. Right. So they wait when the flowers are wilted, they just take it down. So we're going to go see it so we don't have the crowds. But I am going to treat my girls to fresh churros from a churreria on the way back because we all deserve it.
You all do deserve it. Go have fun and yes, get your churros from a good place.
Okay. Ciao, Tanya.
Bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of Our Spain.
We really appreciate all the support we have received since we started this podcast.
Visit ourspain.com for transcripts to this and our other episodes, some exciting merchandise, and if you are so inclined, there is also a link to buy us a coffee, which helps support this fun endeavor.
And please follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Our Spain Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to us wherever you're listening.
It really helps us stay connected, and we'd love to hear from you.
Let us know if there's any topics you would like for us to talk about. Even though we are happy to talk about anything, we also want to make sure it's informative for you.
Exactly.